Hello, everyone. It's Steve Wilmes and Matt Kita, and we're here with another episode of the Risk Control Show just for you. Today, we are talking about Wi-Fi and the new possibilities for your privacy. And this one, from a risk management standpoint, if you're not paying attention, like we say, keep up with tech. You got to keep up with tech. What's going on in the tech world, right, Matt?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got to keep up with it. So here, this London-based firm, Dense Pose, has been working on mapping the human body through different imaging processes. And who better yet to be at the forefront of this, along with this firm? But can you guess, Matt, which social media network would be at the top of your mind for privacy concerns?
That would probably be Meta or Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook AI. You got it, brother. So they've been working on this, and this new, we're going to post a link in the article, but I'll just show you real quick here. This came up in the article here from Vice. They're getting very good at using Wi-Fi. Oh, I got my chat box in there showing through. Let me just see if I can switch on over here and just maybe show this whole thing. Let's see. But basically, as you can see here kind of in the imaging, is that they've developed a method to use Wi-Fi to map out where the human bodies are inside rooms. And they do this through phase detection, and the researchers at Carnegie Mellon are actually the ones that kind of have brought this to the forefront. But the idea there, Matt, is that when you look at this, you have Wi-Fi signals going back and forth, and it's sending out these signals, and then what comes back to the Wi-Fi is utilized to map out the human body inside rooms. So
right.
People are able to kind of see through walls using Wi-Fi with this technology. And it's at the very beginning stages. But the bottom line here is it's going to happen.
Right. Right.
It's going to
look, it reminds me of, I feel like I've seen this in like Marvel movies and shows and stuff, right? Like, oh, I had this little gadget here, and it will instantly map the entire area that we are headed into, and show us where everybody is. Except even in those shows, it feels like you have to be inside. What's even scarier is, as you're saying, is that you don't have to be inside to do it. You can do this from outside.
Right. Yeah, you can do it from outside using a multitude of Wi-Fi networks and just taking the response from that Wi-Fi network and seeing what penetrates and what does not penetrate. Like you said, as we were talking about this offline when I first mentioned it, it's kind of like sonar, right? It's a ping. It's a ping. It's like a radar system, right? The feed doesn't come back, and that generates an image. Now, the technology is much more advanced than Matt or I even understand or have access to at this point in time. But the bottom line is they're researching it, they're developing it, and they're able to then map out where these bodies are. This brings to mind some real issues for privacy concerns.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever, was it Blue Thunder, the movie Blue Thunder, where there was a police, I think it was based out of LA too. The scene, you're a kid, and so you're like, this is a great scene, right? The guy's a helicopter pilot for the police department, and he's got this Blue Thunder helicopter, and it's got the radar, and he if I remember the movie correctly, but he flies up basically by a window and then uses the radar to check out this girl that he's interested in, and he can see her shape, her
Of course.
in the nude, so to speak. And
Movie magic.
Was it Blue Thunder? I think was the name of the movie.
I'm not sure. I remember the scene, but I can't place the movie.
Let
but
me
I know
see.
what you're talking
Movie Blue Thunder.
about.
But that's the basic premise. There is that 1983. Yeah, it looks like that's the one. That's the one. Blue Thunder, 1983. The guy from Jaws was in it. So,
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, the bottom line there is that we're gonna see this, and it brings to mind some real serious privacy concerns for our school districts, our public agency clients, especially in the world of active shooters, and being like there's two sides to that. One's good, one's nefarious, and so I just thinking about how we look at Wi-Fi network systems and what we have to utilize to keep people from being able to use that. So what's the next technology that comes along? But can you imagine, Matt, just as an active shooter, being able to tap into a Wi-Fi system, and all of our methodologies that we teach are gone, right?
Right. It shows how much this is amazing to us, because like all our reference points are fiction, right? It's like I was immediately thinking of I'm sure you've seen it, Dark Knight, the second Batman movie with Christian Bale.
Right.
They had a scene near the end. That was the one the Heath Ledger was the Joker and everything like that. They had this scene where, and I want to say it was using Wi-Fi signals, so it might be this very exact concept, but they were using Wi-Fi to spot enemy combatants within an abandoned, building. Where they had hostages and everything like that. And I remember at that time, the head guy for technology in that movie was played by Morgan Freeman. I love Morgan Freeman. I'm not even going to try and imitate that perfect voice that he has.
Right.
But he made a big deal about the privacy part.
Right.
Is the reason I brought it up. Is all that, if you do this, I will no longer work for you.
Right.
Because he had those privacy concerns. So now that we're seeing that kind of science fiction becoming a reality, I think we all kind of need to put ourselves in the role of Morgan Freeman here, right? And go like, wait, hold on. This is like, okay, yeah, great. We can do it. Should we do it?
Yep. Is it Gary John Bishop, the guy that wrote the book? Yep. Stop doing that, Shisa.
Yeah.
But he says it in
right.
a different way. He's got a great point in one of his books. I forget which one it comes out of. But you're talking about the movie. We talked about Blue Thunder. We talked about this Morgan Freeman movie. Now we're talking about the creation of it. Is it that the movie is projecting what's in the future, or are they actually creating the future? And he talks about Star Trek, and he says Star Trek didn't see the future. They created the future. They actually put these things out there in their little sets and movies.
Right.
And then people created from that. Right? They designed this future. And so we have to look at how these types of technology, I mean, this is going back, this Wi-Fi thing is just busting loose now, because we're at year 4 of this, year 5. This was originally developed in 2018 out of MIT, along with these two firms. Right. And so when you look at it, you look at how far this technology has come and what the reality of it is. When we see these types of things in movies, like we're looking at, what's the other one? Minority Report, and what's going on there. There's cameras in LA, there's cameras in New York, they're doing facial detection. We have these things on the back of phones. So it's not far off, and I think, as we always say, keep up with the tech. Keep up with the tech. You have to keep up with the tech. we have to be thinking about our Wi-Fi network systems, our emergency plans. We have to be thinking about what can we do, like what can the police department do if there is an active shooter and they are barricaded in these. Hey, that's a great tool for us to utilize. On the flip side of that, if it's in the wrong hands, they can see everything that's going on in a bathroom, in a in a classroom, or wherever that may be, and even in our homes, right? And we even have Wi-Fi signals. Some cars have internet connections, our Teslas, things like this. Like, we can see a lot of what's going on, and that detection may even get better at being able to identify weapons or whatever these things are. But that being said, I think this is something, when it comes to privacy, we have to not only think about data and the types of data that we're keeping private and images that we're keeping private, but how do we protect these other systems that are so layered in our everyday environment? And that's a real challenge for risk managers.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it reminds me that a lot of times, especially when it comes to technology, you usually have that technology first, right? You get the idea, you come out with the technology, and then there's like blowback that happens. And then people design strategies to combat the technology. So, for instance, we'll introduce the Wi-Fi, and then maybe the reverse, if it's not a administrative control like a law banning it or something like that, they might engineer new kinds of construction materials in buildings,
right?
So you can't go inside. But then, like, I could say police, but this is going to hurt us, tracking down where criminals are or hostages are in active situations and everything like that. So there's going to be this back and forth. And doesn't it feel, Steve, like as technology has advanced and gotten more, invasive in life, that privacy is becoming more and more a thing that's being challenged and in many ways just gotten rid of entirely? I really see that's a foreground of a battle that's already going, and it's only going to get more fierce.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the privacy concerns are being diminished by our acceptance of so many ridiculous invasions of our privacy.
Right.
I read an article on a very popular bed that you can control the sides of the beds and this and that. And It's funny because when you read the actual privacy policy, it says, even if you ask us to stop recording you and all this, we record sounds, we record this and that, and through the app, like, it's still our data and we're still going to use it and we don't care. So and your Alexas, your home devices, they're constantly recording. People are always reporting things that are going on. And it even got to the point where, this Alexa Sidewalk app, like, just because you have a device in my home that I purchased from you to utilize doesn't give you the right to start to extend my Wi-Fi to anybody and everybody walking around the neighborhood. So, but you have to go and turn that off. And that's a privacy concern. You have the same thing with the facial detection and the fingerprints. I have to say, I'm going to jump into the political ship real quick here.
Okay.
Just to prove a point. And I'm not taking any sides here. I just want to illustrate that you have current president, former president, vice president. You even have a leak out of the Supreme Court with hard documents. Yes. Okay? If we can't even, at those levels, at the most serious, confidential, classified, top secret levels, keep data safe and private and in the right hands, when you start to look at other privacy concerns, DNA data on, 23andMe or whatever it may be, you start to look at, what was the latest hack? It got 300 million people. It was some T-Mobile hack or something.
Yeah. No, I know. Oh, yeah. I'm drawing a blank, but I remember. Yeah, something just. But this is like I can remember the most recent one, Steve. But let's face it, it's a weekly occurrence, if not more frequent than that. If it's not T-Mobile, and I don't know if it's T-Mobile. So for you T-Mobile fans out there,
don't quote us on that.
Yeah,
I'm looking it up.
Yeah. But I mean, if let's say it's T-Mobile this week, or Facebook last week, or Apple the week before, or whatever, whatever has
it was T-Mobile.
It was T-Mobile. Okay.
Some analysts last week said the frequency of data hacks at T-Mobile is alarming. The latest one being just days before a January 23rd filing deadline related to a class action and a massive 21 data breach. In 22, T-Mobile agreed to $350 million settlement to resolve claims in the attack. That was posted one day ago online here.
Wow,
I'll just show that right there so everybody can see where I'm reading from. But when you start looking at this, you're like, seriously, that's a real concern.
Yeah, and especially since, as consumers, we've made it a habit of like giving up our information to all sorts of companies for whatever reason. Anytime we're using a credit card, we're put, at a company, at a store. If we go to Target, if we go to a grocery store, if we buy tickets online for a concert, we're giving that data to them, which even if they swear they're never going to use it, and we've all seen instances where companies absolutely use that.
Right.
But you're depending on their cybersecurity to protect your personal data. And we're seeing that this is it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, before your data is out there.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely. and I think whether the intention is so good, look at Snowden and NASA. NSA.
Right.
Your intention could be so good, you could have so many controls and so well locked down. And I think the movie, that series Kaleidoscope, I don't know if you watched that on Netflix here.
I didn't. No.
It's a real good look at how things get put into back doors. Years and years and years back, laying dormant, and then when it's time to activate, it gets activated. And so, you look at, we have the freelance community. You hire someone to help you write code. You don't know what you're looking at. All of a sudden, your company blows up. Now you got all this data, and they're like, bingo, boom, it's gone. Same thing that we're seeing there. That with the best of intentions, we can't even keep hard copy, private, classified, top secret documents locked away. How do you think we're going to do a good job with the rest of this? We see cryptocurrency. You look at cryptocurrency and you say, well, this was supposed to be anonymous, unbeatable, unbreakable. And we have everybody tracking it down, and the government's able to find those people that stole it and this and that. So our systems are beatable. They're not that great. And we continue to give away our privacy concerns. Our younger generations have grown up with this. It's everyday commonplace to them. My daughter has had a phone for a long time.
Her whole life is digital. Digital. You can track her whole life, and that's something that's not true for you or I necessarily. Like, you go back far enough, you're going to get to a dead space where we're not online because it's just what didn't exist. But for all younger people, their whole lives are going to be online forever. Yeah,
well, and you can say there's dead space. I remember, you take the camera, it's a 35 millimeter film, and you take a picture. Well, it's funny, I had got on Facebook some time ago, Matt, and some of my high school mates were like, hey, remember this photo? And there's a picture that they had scanned in from 1988, and it's like, oh boy, So So even that stuff is not safe, right? And I think we give up those privacy. So the next big concern is, how does an average consumer in our day and age protect themselves against Wi-Fi invasions, where people are looking at what you're doing inside your home? And I'm just looking at like the amount of Wi-Fi networks that are in near our office, in our homes. They have such reach now that you can tap those. I mean, if I opened up and browsed for Wi-Fi networks to attach to right now, I'd probably get 30 of them. That have enough signal strength. I mean, I could probably map out the entire office. So how do you defend against that? And I think that's a real concern that we need to start looking at. These are some of the latest technologies. And again, I think the main message here is keep up with the tech. You have to keep up with the tech. You have to be doing your audits. You have to be looking at the newest firmware updates. You have to be looking at new systems. And I was just the other day looking at Wi-Fi, and I was like, the new routers that are out. Gosh, I bought mine just a couple years ago, and it's already so outdated.
Right.
And, what can we do next to make sure that we have good security in these areas? And that's almost a daily challenge, And so,
it absolutely is. It takes a committed approach to taking this sort of thing on. You can't just half this thing. You actually have to go in and make it a focus. And the fact is that as many great things as technology brings to us, there is going to be that nefarious side of, okay, but what challenges does this provide us? And us as safety professionals, that's something that's a job requirement. We need to stay on top of that.
Yeah. And then you have the question, like, should you even have guest networks anymore?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I look at where we go and the guest networks that we have access to, and you're like, okay, how do we address that?
Yeah, exactly. And it gets into the whole, the security, how to handle that. It just becomes, it's this battle between convenience and security, right? Like we had a conversation with a client just today on this matter. Where is that line between convenience and security? Right. So, and I think that's something that a lot of people, they kind of lean in on the convenience side, and they don't realize how much danger they're putting themselves, anybody who they interact with, they work with, their customers or guests, whoever, are all at risk if you take that security hole lightly.
Yeah, and no better place than in tech to take it lightly. I mean, look at how many websites you visit on a daily basis, and you got to accept the cookies, accept the cookies, accept the cookies, accept. I'm so sick of clicking accept the cookies. It goes directly against ergonomics. Why am I doing all these clicks? And then you look at, you got the most annoying two-factor authentication, and it's oh my God, I just logged into this, and now you sent a code to my email. I have to go log into my email, and we know like our corporate email doesn't flow very quickly into the aggregated email system or onto your phone. So you have to go log into it if you want to get into the site quickly enough, because the two-factor authentication logs out.
And they usually time out
45 seconds or whatever. And you're like, oh, but now I got to go log into that, and then I got to type in a code, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. And if you're using a VPN, God forbid, it's like you can't even do a Google search. So then you turn the VPN off, and then you're exposed, and you're like, this is just so crazy, what? And so convenience becomes a real serious issue, and Wi-Fi is a great convenience, and we rely on it daily. And so, with that, folks, I think we beat this horse to death. And we're going to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on some of these other venues that we have. We're on Udemy. We're on Dollar Training Club with our training programs. You can check out our blog, too. You probably found that there. And don't forget, this is Matt and Steve. And we'll be back with more on the Risk Control Show. We hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching.
See you, everybody.